Welcome to the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today we are checking out all of my vintage Jurassic Park figures. Some of these figures were even made in 1993, so let's go ahead and get started. The first that we're gonna unbox is one that I actually just bought on eBay. This is a Spinosaurus JP39. This looks a lot different from the new Jurassic World Spinosauruses, for sure. You can see it's got a green and gray body. It's still got the big old spine, but the head shape is different, and it's quite a bit smaller, but it does have some actions too. You can see you can pull down on the arm or the chomping. You can see some wear and tear throughout the body, but I got it for a pretty good price, so. This T-Rex is an original 1993 Jurassic Park Tyrannosaurus Rex made by Kenner. It's got an all soft body, it's a soft rubber, it's got a green underbelly and a red side with spots. Its legs though are made of hard plastic, and then it transitions up to the soft rubber right up here. And with this figure, when you squeeze the stomach, it has a roaring function. Used to have sound effects and it doesn't work too well anymore. But it's a pretty old figure, so what can you expect? Next up, we've got the JP53 Chaos Effect Velociraptorix from Jurassic Park. This is a pretty interesting looking dinosaur. They definitely aren't making any figures that look quite like this anymore. See, it's got these spikes all over its body. It's got these wing-like things and a super long tail with those spikes at the end as well. And you can see that it actually is spring-loaded so that when you move the legs, its neck can move up and down, and its arms go up and down too. Next up, we've got a smaller figure. This is the Chasmosaurus JP21. This figure is in decent condition. You can see it's got the tan side, brown underbelly, and the gray top. Plus, it has an action with its leg that when you pull it, it goes into a roaring position. And the sound effects still work, actually. Next up is the Jurassic Park Lost World Tyrannosaurus Rex from 1997. This is the JP28 figure. This once again has the rubber body. It has some pretty cool coloring with yellow, black, and a green-blue color, and a light underbelly. And you can see that it actually has the throat tunnel all the way down to its stomach, just like the super colossal figures I have now, but a bit smaller. This figure back here, I believe, is another Lost World Tyrannosaurus from 1997. You can see it's colored way differently. I believe this one was custom colored at some point, but it's got the hard front arms that you can swivel, plastic legs, and then the rest of the body is rubber. And this also has the throat tunnel down to its stomach too. Now, obviously, this isn't a dinosaur, but this is still from Jurassic Park. This is the Lost World Humvee capture vehicle. See that it's got these things that come down on the side, as well as these that go up top. I believe these are for humans to sit inside so that they can see way higher when they're riding way high up on the car. Next up is the 1997 Jurassic Park Lost World Thrasher Tyrannosaurus Rex. This T-Rex has hard plastic legs. The entire leg is made of hard plastic on both sides, as are the arms, but the rest of the body is that soft rubber again. And with this figure, when you move the tail around, it actually swings its head back and forth. Way over here on the edge, we've got a super colossal T-Rex. Now, I actually don't know how old this figure is, but it looks quite a bit different than all the other super colossal T-Rexes that I have. Might have been custom painted, but let's check it out. You can see the battle damage on the side. Plus, it comes with some sound effects when you open the mouth. That's pretty awesome. And just like all the rest of my super colossal figures, it is pretty adjustable. You can move the tail, the legs, the arm, and you can open up its mouth really big. Up next, we've got a Jurassic Park puppet. This thing is pretty old, and I believe it is a Velociraptor. It's made entirely out of rubber, so the whole thing is pretty soft. This is the Jurassic Park Lost World Stegosaurus JP24. You can see that I don't have the battle damage cover anymore. I'm not sure where that went. But this figure has a harder plastic body, and the tail is a softer rubber that swings back and forth. Here is the classic Triceratops from Jurassic Park. This is JP08. See, it's got the battle damage on the side, and just like many of the other figures, it's got a soft rubbery body and a function when you squeeze the stomach, the head goes up and down. Next up is the JP06 battle damage Tyrannosaurus figure. This figure, once again, has a soft rubbery body throughout most, except for the feet are hard plastic and the arms. Most of its body is a light tan color with that darker striping on top, and it's got a lighter underbelly. And let's check out that battle damage on the side too. You can see the bones and a little bit of underneath the bones too. Next up is the Jurassic Park 3 sound activated stalking raptor. Now the motor doesn't work in this figure, but originally you turn it on and it would be able to walk forwards slowly and stealthily. This figure is hard plastic all over. It's got the light underbelly, the dark brown sides, and a purple color right along the top. This is the Lost World Pteranodon, JP22. This figure is really old and it's a little worn down, as you can see. It's got the blue and gold body. Its wings are actually a fabric, and there's a button on the top of its body used for flapping its wings. Here's another flying dinosaur. This is JP48. This, I believe, is an Ankyloraniodon. It's got some bright green on the underside and purple on the top. Check out those claws. And there's actually a button on its back that you press and it curls its tail inward. And all in all, this is probably over a foot long from wingtip to wingtip. Next up, we've got JP63. This is the Jurassic Park Baryonyx. I've actually got another one, another very similar Baryonyx right here. And both of them have an action with the leg. When you move the leg, it moves its head back and forth. Next up is the JP23 Pachycephalosaurus with a ramming head. Now it's slightly broken because when I press the button, the head will fly off, but that's a pretty cool spring-loaded head ramming action. Here we've got the JP19 Lost World Parasaurolophus. This dinosaur has some pretty cool coloring with the striping down its back and the red right around its head and neck. And this dinosaur also has an action button. You press on its back and it runs. This is the JP18 Jurassic Park Velociraptor. This dinosaur has some pretty unique patterns over its body. It's got the striping, but it's also got these dots and on its arms and neck as well. And it's really quiet because it's an old figure, but it actually does have sound effects. This figure is the Jurassic Park 1994 Utah Raptor. Most of its body is that soft rubber, aside from its legs, which are hard plastic, and its arms. And on this dinosaur, the legs are spring-loaded, so that when you press beneath its tail, it'll dip down for a chomp. This is JP58. This is an Amargospinus. This has some pretty cool coloring with the black, tan, and red all over its body, and it has an action with its leg that when you pull it, these spines stand up on its back, on its neck, and it opens its jaw too. This figure is the JP44 Lost World Triceratops. This is a smaller figure. It's got that dark green coloring, and this figure also has an action. When you move the leg, it lifts his head up for a roar. Next up, we've got the JP02 Dilophosaurus. This is a pretty small figure, and you can only move the legs on this one, but this is a classic Jurassic Park figurine. Next up is JP47. This is an Allosaurus, and it actually has battle damage that you can take on and off. Look at those huge pieces that you can take off to see what's underneath. You can take it off the leg as well, see the bone underneath, and you can even remove parts of its tail too. That is super cool. Here we've got JP42. I believe this is a baby T-Rex. It's actually got a broken leg on its right side. It's got that dark coloring on the top and the light brown and tan on the bottom too. I've got some identical JP06 Velociraptor figures. They've got the brown sides, the dark top, and the light underbelly. This is JP12. I believe it is called a Lycinops, and it looks kind of like a saber-toothed tiger. Next up, the JP10 Velociraptor. This has a bright red top and a yellow side and a white underbelly, and when you move its legs, it actually opens up its arms. Plus, I've even got some classic figurines. I've got 2 of the Lost World Ian Malcolm glider action figures. I've got the 1997 Ian Malcolm figure.
Come on!
And I've got the Alan Grant figurine as well. I think I've got a few more human figurines in here. This first one is the Robert Muldoon figurine.
Oh boy!
This second one, I believe, is Harpoon Harrison.
Awesome!
And I believe this one is the Jurassic Park Lost World Nick Van Owen.
Gotcha!
And last but not least, we've got a few teeny tiny figures in here. Can you guess what type of dinosaurs these are? Let me know in the comments below.
Oh boy! Awesome!
Welcome back to the Amazing Dinosaur channel. Today we are checking out a bunch of awesome dinosaurs like T-Rexes, Spinosauruses, and Indominus Rexes from a bunch of different brands including Mattel, Hasbro, and more. And I've even got some brand new ones. Let's start with this brand new dinosaur figure. All right, World of Giants dinosaur. Let's open this up and see what it is. Can you guess what type of dinosaur it is? All right, check it out. It's an Indominus Rex model. That is so cool. Look at the realistic coloring and all the texture and detail along its body. It's got the spikes on the top, the huge claws on its hands, and look at those teeth too. And you can open and close the jaw as well. This is a super cool model Indominus Rex. Let's check out our other Indominus Rex figures in here. All right, this first one. This is from the old Jurassic World line. I think it's made by Hasbro. Let's check it out. So this figure is pretty big. I'd say it's maybe 2 feet from head to tail. The whole neck and head is made out of rubber, which is really interesting. And when you move the arms up and down, let's see what it does. It opens and shuts the jaw for the roar. That's so cool. Check out those teeth too. This is a pretty cool figure and a classic one. All right, our next Indominus Rex figure. This, I believe, is by Mattel, and this is a battle damage Indominus Rex. There we go. That's awesome. Check out that battle damage on both sides. And this Indominus Rex has a button on the tail that you can use to chomp. That is so awesome. This figure is huge. All right, here's one more Indominus Rex. This is a smaller version, and this is an older one from the old Jurassic World line, so I think it might be made by Hasbro. But check that out. This also has battle damage that you can open and close. How cool is that? Check out those teeth, look at those eyes, and the tail controls the chomping action too. That is awesome. All right, let's check out some T-Rexes. This is a T-Rex with battle damage. Oh, that's awesome. This figure is made by Mattel, and it is a fully posable dinosaur figure. That is so cool. You can move the neck and open and shut the jaw too. Let's check out some more T-Rexes. Right up front here, we've got the great T-Rex from the old Jurassic World line. Let's see what this figure does. So when you press its tail, it'll go like that. And now it's in a roaring position. Ready for it to chomp down? Here we go, ready and go. Oh, that's so cool. This is a great figure. All right, next up, we've got a dark brown T-Rex made by Mattel. And this T-Rex has two actions. The first is a chomping action. Look at that, it's like a tearing chomp. That's so cool. And the second action is with the tail. You can sweep it back and forth. That's super awesome. And once again, a huge dinosaur figure. Ooh, look at this red and spotted black T-Rex. This is an old figure that's from the original Jurassic Park toy line. I believe it's made by Hasbro. And this T-Rex, the whole body is covered in rubber, so its skin is actually really soft everywhere, which is different from a lot of the other toys. And it doesn't work quite as well anymore, but when you press on the stomach, it'll open and shut its jaw. It's an old toy, so it may not work the same as it used to, but this is still a really cool figure to have in my collection. All right, another big T-Rex in the back here. This is a light brown T-Rex. This is from the Camp Cretaceous line made by Mattel. This dinosaur has the chomping button on its tail, and you can also move the tail to move its neck up and down and back and forth. I really like how realistic the movements of this T-Rex are. This is so cool. All right, we've still got a lot more T-Rexes in here. This is actually one that I just bought. Let's check it out. This is a model T-Rex that I bought on Amazon. And look at the detail in the coloring and the texture too. That is so cool. Now, the arms and legs don't move on this dinosaur, but the jaw does open and close still. Look how detailed that is. I think that might be more detailed than Mattel's toys. That is super awesome. Let's see if we can find any more T-Rexes in here. Yep, here's some more. This is another classic T-Rex figure from the Jurassic Park toy line from a long time ago. This T-Rex has some battle damage on the side. And once again, the whole body is made out of rubber. So it's very soft. All right, here's a few more T-Rexes. And look, they're all different colors too. This one is made by Mojo. I'm actually not sure what brands made these ones, but these are all model T-Rexes, so these are more for on display. It looks like only the center T-Rex can open and shut its mouth. The other two are frozen in their roars. But I love the coloring on each of these. These are pretty realistic, I do have to say. And I love the orange-red coloring on this T-Rex too. That is pretty awesome. Right over here in the back, from Mattel, is the great Spinosaurus. This dinosaur has tons of teeth in its mouth, and the coloring in this dinosaur is super cool. It's got the light brown and a lighter stripe all the way to its head, and then the darker brown, and then the red, super bright red on its spine and on its face too. That is so awesome. And it's got the action button on its head for roaring. Right over here, we've got a very different looking Spinosaurus figure. I think this Spinosaurus figure might be from the Schleich brand. And this figure doesn't have any moving parts, so it's stuck in this pose, and it actually looks like it's swimming, because Spinosauruses did actually swim in the water for hunting. But I love the color design on this. That is super cool. Up next, we've got a giant Stegosaurus. And it's from the old Jurassic Park toy line. This dinosaur also feels a bit rubbery on the outside. It's softer than the Mattel dinosaurs. And especially this tail right here is super flexible, so that when you pull on this, it'll swing the tail back and forth. Watch out for those spikes. And we've got another Stegosaurus, a smaller model. So this one does not have moving body parts. You can't swing the tail, but it is still a great collectible to put on my shelf. I just love the bright colors on these dinosaurs. I see a new dinosaur right here. Let's see what type it is. All right, it is a Velociraptor. This figure is from the Ahupoi brand. I believe that's how you pronounce it. But once again, awesome coloring. I love the bright blue and of course the red eyes. Let's see what other Velociraptors we've got in here. Here's two. This Velociraptor is from the old Jurassic Park line by Hasbro. The only body parts you can move on this one are the arms. And on this Velociraptor, this is from the old Jurassic Park line, I think also by Hasbro. So this toy is pretty old. And it's got a chomping action too. How cool is that? All right, we've still got some more Velociraptors in here. All right, here is a Velociraptor made by Mattel. So this is a newer Velociraptor figure. It's gray with a dark blue color on top, and you can open and shut the jaws. And that is pretty cool. And we've also got these other two. Oh, you know what? This is a Dilophosaurus. We'll save that guy for later. But this is a Velociraptor. And I actually don't have any other Velociraptors with this type of coloring. And you can see on its arms that it's actually got a little bit of feathers on there, which is super interesting. Oh, I'm still seeing some Velociraptors. Let's grab some more. All right. Here is an old Jurassic Park Velociraptor. This Velociraptor figure is super old. I'm not even sure when it was made, but because it has the JP tattoo, you know that it's pretty old. And here's those other Velociraptors. Another classic Velociraptor figure right here with the chomping action. This Velociraptor figure might be made by Schleich, I'm not actually sure, but the body parts don't move on this one. But you can still see a lot more detail than a lot of the other figures on this. Look at that texture too, that is so cool. And of course, we've got another Mattel Velociraptor. Fully movable legs, arms, neck, and jaw. And this dinosaur has battle damage too, that you can open and close. Up next, we've got a giant Triceratops. This is a Jurassic Park figure, so this figure is pretty old, made by Hasbro a long time ago. And like the other older figures that we saw, it has a rubber body, and when you squeeze the stomach, it roars. Oh, right over here, we've got a brand new Triceratops. Let's check it out. This Triceratops is made by Gemini and Genius, and it doesn't have any moving parts, but once again, these models always have a lot more detail with the texture and the coloring. Just look at the shading in that, and the bright red on top. That is so awesome. I see some brightly colored dinosaurs in here. Let's check out what these are. All right, these are all Dilophosauruses. This one was made by Mattel, and this figure specifically is a bit smaller, but it's still got those bright colors. This one is actually from Toys R Us a long time ago, but it's still got that super bright and colorful frill. And this Dilophosaurus is super brightly colored and is from the old Jurassic World line. That is so awesome. I love these bright colors. Oh, here's a few more Dilophosauruses. Let's check these out. I think this small one is made by Mattel again. And I'm actually not sure what brand these are. They aren't Mattel or Hasbro, but they're still pretty cool action figures. You can move the arms and legs and the necks, and that is pretty awesome. Both of them super brightly colored. All right, let's see what dinosaur is next. Oh, we've got a Ceratosaurus by Mattel right here. And check it out. There's an action button on the top that slides back and forth. Wow, that is an awesome roar. Plus, it's got this really cool bright red coloring all along its head and back. And I think we've got some brand new Ceratosauruses too. This is a Ceratosaurus by Schleich, and this is a Ceratosaurus by Papo. These are both model figures, so not as many body parts move, but both their jaws open up, and they both have awesome and super detailed coloring. All right, our last dinosaur species of this collection. It is one of my favorite dinosaurs, the Carnotaurus. This figure is made by Mattel, and it has pretty detailed coloring, plus it's got two actions. There's a button for the roar, and also if you move the tail, it controls his head in a real lifelike way. Let's check out these smaller Carnotaurus figures. I'm not sure of the brands of all of these, but they're quite a bit different from each other. This one has huge spikes, and it actually has a soft texture on the outside. It's like a soft rubber. And the jaw opens and closes as well. Still got those huge horns on the top. And this figure is a little bit smaller, and it's more of a hard plastic. And on this Carnotaurus too, the jaw opens and closes for the roar. That is so epic. And here are our final two Carnotauruses. This big one is a super bright orange with green spots and white spikes along the top, and even purple around its eyes. How interesting is that? And this smaller Carnotaurus is a much more natural coloring. It's a dark gray, it's got the red underneath its throat, and you can even see the eyes. Look at that attention to detail. Today, we're checking out all of my Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom predators. I've got raptors, I've got indoraptors, I got T-Rexes, and I've even got one that I just bought on eBay. Let's check this one out first. This is the Grab and Growl Endoraptor. This is actually the first of this toy that I have in my collection. Let's check out the features. First of all, it is very movable and posable. You can see that you can move its shoulders, its elbows, its legs, all over. But the coolest part of this figure is the functions on the tail. You can see that it has a button on its tail right there that it actually is used for slashing. And it comes with sound effects too. Plus, it also has a second button on the bottom of its tail used for the jaw. And finally, this Indoraptor has the tail that controls the front torso, like many T-Rex figures. So you can actually move it around and make it look super lifelike, as well as slash and chomp too. Hiding way in the back here, we've got a super colossal T-Rex. This is the orange and tan one. It's got the light underbelly. Let's check out those yellow eyes. It has a huge jaw that you can open up really wide. And of course, it has the stomach compartment, so you can feed it miniature dinosaurs too. Next up, we've got another big T-Rex. This is the Thrash and Throw T-Rex. It has a button on its foot for stomping sound effects. And the coolest part of this dinosaur is you use the tail to control the torso. You can get chomping, just like that, and you can also get a roaring pose too. Right over here, we've got a dark blue Suchomimus with yellow detailing right along the top. And it's got that huge spine all the way from the tail up to the top of the head. That is really cool. This dinosaur has a lot of teeth in its mouth and a very narrow jaw. And it has one action button on its back to control the chomping. Right over here, we've got a classic T-Rex figure. This one is also a light orange and brown. And while the tail does not control the torso or the head, there is a button on the top of its head to control the jaw. Next up, we've got another Endoraptor figure. This is the classic Endoraptor figure. You can see it's still very flexible and adjustable with its limbs and its arms. This figure does not have the buttons on its tail to control the arms and the jaw, but it is still a super posable figure and pretty well detailed. This giant figure is a Mosasaurus. I'm sure you recognize this even from the first Jurassic World movie. This figure is probably 2 feet long from head to tail, and it's got some pretty good texture on its body as well. You can see it's got the large bumps on the top of its back, and it's got the smaller bumps right along the side. This is the extreme battle damage Tyrannosaurus Rex. This T-Rex has battle damage all over its body. It's got some on its chin, on its neck, on its leg, even on its chest and tail too. It of course has that iconic orange and brown coloring all over its body. And just like the T-Rex that we saw earlier, it has a button on the top of its head to activate the jaw. This is the bright yellow and red Ceratosaurus. Check out that huge iconic horn on the top of its head. It's also got movable limbs and a tail, and there's an action button on its back to activate the jaw. Here I've got the yellow and gray Allosaurus. It has some pretty cool detailing right along the top, all the way from its tail to the top of its head. It also has some red right above its eyes, which is pretty cool, and it's got an action button on its back to activate the jaw. Next up, we've got a huge Carnotaurus figure. This figure has tiny arms in the front. It has adjustable legs and a tail. It has the classic clay red body on the side and a dark purple gray color right along the top. And of course, there's an action button on its back for snapping the jaw. This is a supersized Pteranodon figure. This dinosaur figure is probably 1 foot from wingtip to wingtip. It's got the dark blue body with the maroon and tan wings. There is a button on its back for flapping the wings. And you can open and close the jaw too. Here is the bright red Metriacanthosaurus. Most of its body is that bright red color. It's got some dark gray detailing right along the top of its back and some yellow detailing on the top of its head and its nose too. The limbs are pretty adjustable on this figure, and of course, the button on the back to activate the jaw. This is the Baryonyx figure. It's got the light brown body with the dark gray blue detailing all along its back to its tail and to its neck, and it's got the reflective bright blue coloring on the top of its head too. I've actually got another Metriacanthosaurus in here. This one is like a mustard or like a dark green yellow color. Most of this dino figure's body is a dark green yellowish color. It's got the dark green detailing along the top of its body all the way to the top of the head, and it's got the action button on its back for the jaw. I've got another Baryonyx figure, but with slightly different coloring. It's still got the light brown body with the dark gray blue detailing on the top, but this figure has the bright orange coloring right on the top of its head and its nose too. I've got quite a few Velociraptor figures in here as well. Let's see what we got. First, we've got the classic Velociraptor blue figure with the iconic blue stripe all the way down the side of the body. I also have the green Velociraptor that is in the crawling or sneaking pose. You can also open and close this jaw too. I've got this super bright Velociraptor with the bright yellow and the brown on the top, and this Velociraptor is actually one of the leaping Velociraptors. So the legs are spring-loaded and you can send it flying into the air. And this Velociraptor has a bit more subtle coloring. It's got a gray body with the dark gray-blue detailing along the top and some cool orange eyes too. I've also got a few winged Dimorphodon figures. This first one is gray in color with some dark maroon or purplish color along the bottom of its wings. I've also got this green Dimorphodon with the bright orange and yellow along the bottom of its wings. And on both of these figures, you can open and close the jaws. Next up, I've got a few Dilophosaurus figures, all with different coloring. This first one is a soft green color with the yellow and red frills. This one is a gray-brown color with some blue detailing along the back, and its frills are white and a green-blue color too. And this Dilophosaurus, the brightest of the three, is a purple and red Dilophosaurus, and it's got some yellow, orange, and red along the frills in the front too. This is a Herrerasaurus. It is a light gray color with some brighter detailing. You can actually adjust the neck on this figure as well as the jaw, and of course all the other limbs as well. Here is another Herrerasaurus figure, but this one has a soft green coloring with the brown detailing on top. All the same body parts can move, and this one actually has some battle damage on the side that you can open and close. I've still got tons of Velociraptor figures in here. This first one is another Velociraptor blue, but this one has the battle damage on the side. Here is another spring-loaded Velociraptor. The legs are spring-loaded so that they can leap up into the air, and it's got a bright blue-green color all over its body. And I've also got the leaping Velociraptor blue as well. It's got the iconic coloring along the side of its body, and of course, the spring-loaded legs for leaping into the air. Got just a few more figures in here. This one is the Protoceratops. It's got the dark brown body with darker detailing along the top and a red ridge right along its nose. And like many of these miniature figures, the limbs are fairly adjustable as well. And I've got two more Velociraptor figures in here. This first one is a dark red with purple detailing along the side, kind of the same design as Velociraptor blue. And I've got another leaping Velociraptor. This one is a dark tan color with the brown detailing along the top, and of course, the spring-loaded legs. And last but not least, I've got another giant Pteranodon figure with foldable wings and the same blue body with the red and tan wings. Welcome back! Today we're checking out my collection of Jurassic World Dominion figures, including these brand new ones that I'm gonna open up in this video. First up is the Roar Strikers Iguanodon. So here is the unboxed Iguanodon. I think this might be the first Iguanodon in my collection actually. It's got a light tan body with the dark brown on top and the tan striping. It's got the barcode scanner right along the top. And you can move its front legs around and its back legs. Plus, there is an action button that when you press down on the body, it roars and dips its head down too. Next up, we've got the Mega Raptor from the Roar Strikers series. As you already know, the Mega Raptor is related to the Velociraptor, but it's got some differences. This figure has feathers all over its body. You can see some on its arms, on the top of its back, on the top of its head, and at the end of the tail as well. This figure is bright red in the back and a dark blue-gray in the front. Plus, it has some detailing on the face as well. And this figure comes with an action that when you press down on the body, it chomps and roars. Next up, we've got a dual pack. This is the Sound Surge Tyrannosaurus Rex and Giganotosaurus set. All right, here they are. Let's check out the Giganotosaurus first. This Giganotosaurus has the typical dark green and black coloring, typical for the Jurassic World figures. And it's pretty adjustable. You can move the tail, you can move the arms and the legs. So it is pretty adjustable. I will note that the mouth is actually not colored at all. So it is just green, just like the rest of the body. But the coolest feature of these figures are the roaring sound effects. Let's check that out. That is pretty cool. I bet that roar is from the movie. Now let's check out the Tyrannosaurus Rex. This figure has the tan brown coloring with the black detailing that we see in many of the T-Rex figures. You can open and close the mouth, but as you notice, the mouth is not colored differently than the rest of the face. And you can move the arms and the legs and the tail just like the Giganotosaurus. So now let's check out the T-Rex sound effects that this comes with. I really like how this comes in a 2-pack too, and they're both the same size, smaller than most of the T-Rex figures, but still a good size. Next up, we've got a super colossal Atrociraptor. This figure has the light gray body with the brown and lighter brown detailing on its back and sides. It's got some huge claws on its hand, just like the super colossal Velociraptor figures. And on its face, it has a full set of teeth all the way around. It's got those orange eyes. And just like all the other super colossal figures, you can feed it miniature dinosaurs and empty it out in its stomach. Next up of these super colossal figures is the T-Rex. This figure is dark brown on the sides, black on the top, and has the light underbelly like many dinosaurs. It is fully adjustable like the other super colossal figures. It's got the yellow eyes and a huge set of teeth. And of course, this super colossal T-Rex can eat miniature dinosaurs as well that you can empty out in the stomach compartment. And finally, of the super colossal figures is the Giganotosaurus. Just like we saw in the smaller Giganotosaurus, it has the dark green sides. However, this one has more detailing along the top. I think it has some bigger spines and it has a light underbelly too. You can move the wrists, you can move the arms, the legs, the tail, and of course you can open up the Giganotosaurus's mouth really wide to eat those miniature dinosaurs too. And this figure actually has some bright golden eyes, which I think is really cool. Next up, we've got the Hammond Collection Tyrannosaurus Rex. This figure is the most adjustable Tyrannosaurus Rex that I have. You can twist the torso around, you can move all the joints in its arms, in its legs. It actually has 2 joints in its tail as well, which is pretty cool. And it has tons of detail on its face too. It's got some super realistic details in its mouth, like the tongue and the flap on the side. It's got these dark yellow teeth, and it's got those marble yellow eyes too. Here, we've got the Thrash and Devour T-Rex. This T-Rex, just like the super colossal figure, is dark brown on the sides. It has the black on the top and the light underbelly too. I will note that this figure's head is proportionally larger than the rest of its body compared to the other T-Rex figures that I have, which is an interesting detail. And it has the tail that controls the head and a button for roaring too. This is the Ocean Protector Mosasaurus. Unlike the older Mosasaurus figure, this has a dark blue body with white speckles all over its top. It's got the light blue eyes, the huge jaw, and you can adjust the fins and actually move the tail in this one. Next up is the sound-slashing Therizinosaurus. This dinosaur was one of the stars of the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. And this figure is actually pretty controllable too. You can use the tail to swing the head around and the torso, and there's a button on the tail for the chomping as well. And you know, I think this might be my favorite dinosaur from the new Jurassic World movie. Comment down below what your favorite dinosaur was from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. This is the Roar Strikers Ankylosaurus. It has the clay red bottom and the brown and tan top. This figure is pretty adjustable as well. You can twist its head around, you can move its legs, and it has an action button that when you press down on the body, it swings its tail around. This big figure is the Yangchuanosaurus. It has a soft green colored body with the lighter underbelly and the brown detailing along the top, plus this orange detail right on the top of its head. You can move the arms on this figure and the legs, and the tail actually controls the torso and the head, so you can move it and make it look really lifelike. This is the Rowdy Roars Atrociraptor, and this figure has two features. The first is when you press this button on the top, you get some sound effects, and the second is when you touch its chin, it'll actually walk around. Next up, we have a mysterious dino cage, but what could be inside of it? Let's see. All right, it's an Atrociraptor, and you can actually control it from the back too. This figure is a light gray color with the brown detailing over its body, and is pretty adjustable too. You can move all the different limbs, you can open and close the jaw, and even twist the neck around. Next up is the Rajasaurus with the brown coloring on its side and bottom, and it's got the gray-blue coloring right along the top of its back, as well as that single horn right on the top of its head. Plus, this figure comes with an action that when you press down on its body, it chomps and roars. This next one is the massive action Ankylosaurus. Just like the Carnotaurus, it has the clay red body with the brown detailing along the top, and it's got this super long neck that you can actually control by moving the tail around. Here we've got the Rowdy Roars Dilophosaurus. It's got the iconic frills on the sides and the top, and just like the other Rowdy Roars figure that I have, it has two action buttons. First is when you press the button on top of its head, and the second is when you touch its chin. It can walk around. Next up is the Hammond Collection Baryonyx. This figure is super adjustable in all its limbs. It has some pretty cool coloring, pretty similar to the other Baryonyx figures, especially with that blue detailing right underneath its eye. So this figure is super easy to pose on the shelf. I really like that. This is the Pachycephalosaurus, actually from the Legacy Collection. It's got the gray body with a little bit of brown detailing on the bottom and a bunch of blue along the top. It's got the DNA barcode scanner right along its shoulder, and you can use the tail for the headbutting action. This is the Carnotaurus from the Jurassic World Dominion movie. It's got the green body with the orange detailing along the top, and it's pretty adjustable too. You can move its neck, open its jaw, you can move its legs and arms, and even twist the tail too. Here is the huge winged dinosaur that I'm sure you recognize from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. This is the Quetzalcoatlus. It's got the soft blue-gray coloring along its body, it's got the brown wings, and it's got some bright coloring right along its head. It's got some orange and some bright blue too. Looks like we've got some battle damage figures from the Jurassic World Dominion collection. This first one is the Velociraptor with extreme battle damage, right there on the side. You can press it to turn it on and off. I've also got actually two of the extreme battle damage Coeluruses. These figures are pretty adjustable as well. You can put them in all sorts of poses and even open and close their jaws. And I've got the Dimetrodon with extreme battle damage right on its side. Next up, I've got the Moros Intrepidus from the Ferocious pack. This figure has a soft green color along most of its body. It's got the orange along its tail and a little bit of detailing along its back, and some detailing right along its eyes too. This is the Ferocious pack Miragaia. This figure has a darker color scheme with the dark gray-blue color in the back and the black in the front with some brighter detailing right along its face. And the most iconic part are these two huge horns right next to its shoulders. This is the Cosmoceratops from the Legacy Collection. It has a dark green color along most of its body with a bit brighter green along the top. It's got some cool detailing along its face, and it has an action button for roaring. This is a Dilophosaurus. Now you can't open and close its jaws, but it's got the bright frills right in the front as usual, and a green body on the bottom and black on the top. Here we've got another Atrociraptor. This one is in the sneaking or stalking pose. It's got the light tan body with a bit of dark brown detailing along it. And you can even open and close the jaw on this one. This is the Zungaripteris. This is a flying dinosaur, and it's got the bright yellow wings and belly and brown top and face as well. And it's got some bright blue and red detailing right along its face. And finally, we've got a little Velociraptor Beta. This figure looks a lot like Blue. It's got the same distinctive coloring, but this is actually a younger Velociraptor, just like in the movie. Today, I'm gonna show you this huge collection of Jurassic World figures that I took down from my display shelves. I bet there's around 100 figures in here. Plus, I've even got some brand new ones from the Amber collection, the Hammond collection, and from the new Jurassic World Dominion series that we're gonna open up. So let's get started. First up is the Strike and Roar Giganotosaurus. This figure is dark green in color, like many of the Giganotosaurus figures that I have. It's got the huge spines in the back all the way up to its head, and it's pretty adjustable. You can move the legs around, you can adjust the arms, and the biggest feature of this figure is the button on its back that you use to swing its head around. Look at that chomping action. Plus, there is a button at the bottom of its tail as well for chomping the mouth. Next up, we've got the Amber Collection Velociraptor from the Lost World Jurassic Park. Alright, here's the figure. This is a bright orange Velociraptor with a tan underbelly. It's got those dark brown stripes along the top, all the way to the top of the head. Looks like its eyes are like a dark gold color. And like all of the Amber Collection figures, this figure is very adjustable with all of its limbs and is very poseable. Plus, this figure comes with a stand that you can use to display your brand new Velociraptor. Next up is the Hammond Collection Parasaurolophus. So this figure is predominantly a light tan color. It's got some dark purple brown coloring along the legs and along the back, and most importantly, that bright orange stripe all the way from its head down to its tail. And overall, I'd say the detailing and paint on this is pretty decent. It's not the most detailed that I've seen, but I definitely appreciate that you can move all the limbs around. You can bend at the knees, you can move the arms, you can adjust the neck and the head as well. So it is a very adjustable figure. And finally, we've got the Jurassic World Dominion Dr. Alan Grant and Dimetrodon set. So here is Dr. Alan Grant holding a Dimetrodon skull. That thing is humongous. And here is the Dimetrodon figure. Its body is a gray-green color, and it's got the iconic super huge spine along its back that's orange. Right along its spine, you can find the DNA barcode scanner, and you can adjust the legs, the tail, the neck, and the jaw as well. Let's dive into our first bin of Jurassic World figures. This T-Rex has a tearing action. When you press this button on its back, it swings its head around and clamps its jaw shut. Plus, it's got another button on its back to swing the tail around too. Next up, we've got a bright orange T-Rex with battle damage all over its body. It's got some on its chin, on its neck, on its thigh, on its stomach, and it's got a button at the top of its head for the chomping action. Here is another bright orange T-Rex, but this one does not have any battle damage at all, and it also has the button on the top of its head for chomping. Here we've got a smaller T-Rex figure. I believe this is the Sound Surge T-Rex. It's got this button on its back that you can use to activate the sound effects. This, I believe, is the Jurassic World Dominion Thrash and Devour T-Rex. It's got the black top, brown sides, and the lighter underbelly, and you can use the tail to control the face. Got 2 more T-Rexes left in this haul. This is a dark green T-Rex. It's got the button on the top of its head for chomping, and the rest of its body is adjustable too. And way back here, we've got the T-Rex with the extreme battle damage. Check that out, you can turn it on and off. Next up are the Indominus Rexes. This first Indominus Rex figure is larger than a lot of the T-Rex figures I have, and it has 2 actions. The first is on the front of its back, that's used for claw slashing, and the second is on its tail, used for the jaws. This second Indominus Rex is the Extreme Battle Damage Edition. You can see its battle damage on this side and on the other side, and you can turn it on and off using the button on the top of its back. Next up are the Scorpius Rexes. This is a basic figure of the Scorpius Rex, so you can move its arms and legs somewhat, and its tail is slightly adjustable. And this figure, interestingly, is very narrow. And here is the better version of the Scorpius Rex figure. This figure is very adjustable, and it has 2 actions. The first is for roaring and chomping, and the second action button is for slashing the claws. Here we've got a ton of Ceratosaurus figures. This first one has a gray, red, and brown body with the white horn. This next one has a tan body with red and black and a yellow horn. I've also got a dark green Ceratosaurus with a slide lever action. A brown and orange Ceratosaurus with an action button on its back for chomping and roaring. And another gray, red, and black Ceratosaurus with a slide action lever on its back. Next up, I've got a few Carcharodontosaurus figures. This first one is a bright red Carcharodontosaurus with the yellow on the top of its head and some darker detailing on its back. And the second Carcharodontosaurus is yellow and green in color, and it has the same chomping action button as the first one. Here is a pretty scary looking predator. This is a Tarbosaurus. It is gray, black, and red right underneath its chin, and it's got these huge spikes right along its spine. Next, I've got 2 Albertosauruses. The first one has battle damage on its side that you can open up and close, and a little bit of battle damage right on its leg. And the second Albertosaurus is a bit brighter in color. It has a bright orange along the side, and it has an action button on its tail for chomping. Next up, this first Carcharodontosaurus is dark blue, and it's got some orange and brown detailing, and it has an action button for chomping. This second Carcharodontosaurus is tan in color, and it has some orange and brown detailing, and it actually has a face cage that you can use the action button to break free from. This dinosaur figure, if I remember correctly, is the Yangchuanosaurus. This figure has an action that when you move the tail, it swings its torso around, plus a button to activate the jaw. Here, I've got a few Suchomimus figures. This first one is bright yellow with brown detailing along the top, and 2 action buttons, one to activate the face and jaw, and a second to activate the tail. This second Suchomimus is dark blue in color with yellow detailing along the top and the spine, and has 1 action button to activate the jaw. Next, we've got some Endoraptor figures. This first one is a basic figure, so you can only move the arms, legs, and tail a little bit, and you can't activate the jaw at all. But it still has some pretty awesome coloring and details with the spikes. And this second Endoraptor figure is extremely adjustable. You can move the arms, the legs, the elbows, the knees. The tail has 2 joints that you can turn, and you can open and close the jaw too. I've also got quite a few Allosaurus figures in here too. This first one is gray and yellow in coloring, and has an action button on its back to activate the jaw. This next Allosaurus is tan and blue with actually 2 tones of blue on its body, and it has 2 action buttons, one to activate the jaw and one to activate the arms. Here are two more Allosaurus figures. This first one is dark green, white, and red in color, and has a slide action button to activate the jaw and roaring sound effects. And this Allosaurus is brown and blue in color and has the slide action lever to activate the jaw and sound effects. And the last dinosaur of this first bin is the Irritator. It has a brown body with blue and light blue coloring, and you can use the tail to control the face. On to the second bin. This first dinosaur is the Extreme Chompin' Spinosaurus with the dark green body and the red spine. This next figure, I believe, is the Camp Cretaceous Spinosaurus with the same body but with a light tan color and darker brown along the top right next to the red spine. I've also got quite a few Carnotaurus figures in here as well. This one is a dark brown Carnotaurus and has an action button on its tail for chomping. This next Carnotaurus figure is a bit smaller, but is from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. It's dark green in color with the orange detailing right along the top. This next Carnotaurus is bright orange in color with a darker top and also has the action button on its tail for chomping. And this final Carnotaurus is a bit smaller and darker red in color and has an action button on the top of its back for chomping. This next figure is a Seats Microrum. It's got the bright orange and the dark blue coloring and all these spikes right along the top of its head and its back too. And over here, I've got quite a few Baryonyx figures. This first one is dark gray and blue with bright blue right along the top. This next figure is dark brown and dark gray with the bright orange right along its nose. And these other Baryonyx figures have all sorts of colors as well. This one is bright green with brown detailing. This next one has actually a little bit of battle damage on its side, right on its neck and on its leg. And this final Baryonyx is gray and a dark blue-gray in color with the reflective blue right along the top of its head. I've also got a few Cryolophosaurus figures as well. This first one is dark blue with white, red, and orange detailing and has an action button that you can use to control the head. And this second Cryolophosaurus figure is bright yellow with brown detailing along the top and the orange right along the top of the head. Right here are a few basic Dilophosaurus figures. This first one is a soft green color all over its body, and it has the red coloring right along its frills and the crown. And this second Dilophosaurus is a dark red color, and it has the green and orange coloring right along its frills, and the yellow on the crown too. Next up is the Rajasaurus from the Jurassic World Dominion collection. This dinosaur has an action that when you press down on the body, it chomps. Next up, I believe this is the Majungasaurus. It's got a dark green body with yellow and blue as well. And here is one of the stars of the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. This is the Giganotosaurus, and it comes with sound effects too. Here are a few Ankylosaurus from the original Jurassic World movie. This first one is brown and tan in color, has a little bit of battle damage on the side. This one right here is a special edition because it has a removable protective shell on top of its spikes, as well as on the back of its tail right here, and is a gray color, but it also has some reflective green and blue coloring all throughout. Next up, we've got a basic raptor figure. This is Velociraptor Blue, and this figure is fairly adjustable. You can move the arms, the legs, and tail just a little bit. This is an interesting looking dinosaur. This is a Concavinator. It's got some super bright coloring along its back and on its face too. This figure, I believe, is an Ankylosaurus. This dinosaur has the super long neck and all these spikes right along its back, and it has an action button to control the head. We've also got a few Triceratops figures back here. This first one is a clay red color with brown detailing right along the top. And this second one is a dark brown color with two tones of blue right along the top. Next up, we've got a Mega Raptor from the Jurassic World Dominion series. This figure has a chomping action that you can activate by pressing down on its body. This dinosaur figure is the Spinosaurus. It's got the blue, red, and green body with the lighter underbelly and an action button to activate the head and the tail. This huge figure is the Pentaceratops. It's got a tan body with gray detailing along the top and an action button to break free from its face cage. Looks like we have a few more Indominus Rex figures back here. This first one is the larger of the two. It has battle damage right on the side that you can open and close, and you can use the tail to activate the jaw. And this second Indominus Rex figure is a bit smaller. It has permanent battle damage on the side, and you can use the tail to activate the jaw and the neck. This, I believe, is a Spinosaurus. It's got the green body with the tan detailing all over. It's got a little bit of orange on the top of its head, too. And I've got a few Stegosaurus figures in here as well. This one is a teal blue color with a lighter underbelly and has an action button to swing the tail back and forth. This next Stegosaurus figure is a darker blue-gray color and is very much similar and has the same action button to swing the tail around. And this final Stegosaurus is brown, tan, and green in color and actually has a different action button that when you press right here, it swings its entire back body back and forth. That's different than the other two figures that I have. This next figure, I believe, is a Kentrosaurus. It has a brown body and a slide lever action to activate the swinging back and forth with those two front spikes. Over here, we've got a few more Ankylosauruses from Jurassic World. This first one has a clay red body with the brown on top and the tan spikes. And this second one has a dark brown belly with the gray spikes and the green and gray all over the top. I've also got a few more Velociraptors from the Amber collection. Here is the bright green one with gray detailing and the gray underbelly. Here is the brown Velociraptor with the light underbelly and the gray detailing along the top. We've also got this gray Velociraptor, I believe is Velociraptor Blue. And I've also got this bright teal Velociraptor with the lighter underbelly. This figure is another Parasaurolophus. It's got the yellow body with the bright pink or purple coloring right along the top. Here is an Iguanodon that I bought just recently. It has a tan body with a darker brown top and the striping, and has a head swinging action when you press down on the body. This is the Baryonyx from the Hammond collection, and is very adjustable with all the limbs in its body. I've also got a few Atrociraptors in here. This first one is tan and in the sneaking pose, and this second one is the classic gray color with the brown striping. Next, I've got the Miragaia with the huge spikes on its side, and I believe this is the Shringosaurus with the much smaller spikes right on its shoulders. I've also got tons of Velociraptors in here. This first one is bright red and green and is actually one of the jumping Velociraptors. This other Velociraptor is one of the normal ones, but is gray in color and has the dark blue coloring right along the top. I've got even more Velociraptors. This first one has the extreme battle damage on the side. This next Velociraptor is another one of the jumping Velociraptors and is a bright teal color. And this Velociraptor is dark red with a purple stripe right down the sides. And here's even some more Velociraptor figures. This first one is Velociraptor Blue in the Springing series. Here is another Velociraptor Blue figure, but this one is the Battle Damage edition that you can open and close. Here is a classic brown Velociraptor with the bright green eyes. And here is Velociraptor Beta, a much smaller and younger Velociraptor. Here are a couple Dimetrodon figures. This first one is a gray-blue color along its body with a bright red and yellow speckled spine. This other figure is actually a Battle Damage edition that you can turn on and off. It has the green body with the bright red spine. This brightly colored figure is the Moros Intrepidus, and it's got the teal body with the bright orange tail. I've also got a few Herrerasaurus figures in here as well. First one is a gray-blue color with a lighter detailing along the top. And this second one actually has battle damage on the side, and the rest of its body is green with brown detailing along the top. Next up, I've got a few Monolophosaurus figures in here. This first one is a darker brown color with gray detailing, and this other Monolophosaurus is a bright lime green with darker green detailing right along its back, and the red right next to its nose. Here we've got some herbivore figures. This is the Dracorex in the lime green color. This next herbivore is a Stygimoloch, I believe. It's got the huge spikes right next to its hard head, and the rest of its body is a clay red color with some darker detailing. And this figure is a Pachycephalosaurus. It's got the green on the belly and the clay red on top, and an action button for the head hammering. Here are a few more Dilophosaurus figures, but a lot smaller. This first one is brown and blue with some white in the frill. This next one is a deep purple color with red on the back and yellow and red right along the frills. And this final Dilophosaurus is green on the belly, black on the back, and it's got some red and yellow in the frills. We've got a few more herbivores in here. Here is a battle damage edition Triceratops with the battle damage right along the side. We've also got a Minmi figure that is green in color, and it's got the spikes all along its back. And I believe that this one is a Cosmoceratops and is very decorative in the front. Next up, we've got a Protoceratops that is purple in color, and it's got the yellow detailing along the top. This figure I think might be an iguanodon, but I'm actually not sure, but it is dark blue along the sides and the bottom, and it's got the orange-yellow detailing along the top. And this figure is another Parasaurolophus. This is a light brown color on the belly and the sides, and it's got the darker detailing along its back. And here are our last 3 dinosaurs out of these 2 huge bins. We've first got a baby Brachiosaurus that is light green on the sides and a darker green along the top. Here is a Sauropelta with the huge spikes on the top. And finally, the good old Zunoceratops with the 2 spikes in the front and the dark blue along the top and its back, and the rest of its body is a light green color. Hello and welcome back. Today we are checking out this huge collection of dinosaur figures and putting them on my display shelf right over here. I've got tons of empty space, so let's get started with these brand new ones right here. Let's first get started with the super colossal Tyrannosaurus Rex. Let's open this thing up. Here is the fully assembled, brand new Jurassic World Dominion Tyrannosaurus Rex. And look at the size of this thing. Compared to the other super colossal dinosaurs that I have, this one is a darker brown color. It's got that black top with the stripes along the side right there. And just like my other super colossal figures, it's quite adjustable with the ankles. You can move the legs, you can wiggle the tail, you can move the arms. Oh, you know what? Right on its head, it kind of feels a little rubbery actually. You can kind of press down on it compared to the rest of its body, which is a hard plastic. And of course, like all the other super colossal T-Rexes, this dinosaur has a throat compartment that goes all the way down to its stomach. So you can feed it mini dinosaurs and then empty them out. That is super cool. Next up, we've got the Baryonyx from the Hammond collection. Let's open it up. All right, here it is fully assembled. This is one of the most adjustable Baryonyxes that I have. I have a few of the Velociraptors from the Hammond collection, and this one's pretty similar with how you can move it and adjust it. This Baryonyx has a dark top with all those bumps all over, then it's got the white stripe right along the side, and then a gray side and a white underbelly. And on the face, you can see that there's a little bit of blue on the under eye. I really like how adjustable this is though. This is really cool. All right, let's put these two dinosaurs on the shelves. All right, let's grab this T-Rex and bring him on over to the shelf. There we go, T-Rex is on display. Next, let's grab the Baryonyx and put it right beside the T-Rex. All right, let's move on to all these other dinosaurs. Let's first start off with this huge Indominus Rex. This Indominus Rex has two features on it. It's got the button on the tail that activates the jaw, and it's got the button on top of its back that activates the slashing action. All right, let's put this on the shelf right over here. Next up, we've got another T-Rex. This one has similar coloring to the giant T-Rex that we've got over here, and this is also a brand new Jurassic World Dominion T-Rex. And this T-Rex has an action button on the tail. You can move the tail to control the neck, and there's a button as well to control the jaw. Let's go ahead and put this on the shelf. Right in the center. All right, moving along, we've got another T-Rex. This is from the old Jurassic World toy line. It's got a rubbery tail, the rest of its body is plastic, aside from the rubbery neck right here. Let's go ahead and put this on the shelf too. Where should we put it? Right next to this other T-Rex. Right over here, we've got a giant Spinosaurus. Look at the size of this dinosaur. It's got the red spine, the red face. There's a button that activates the jaw. All right, let's put this right next to the Indominus Rex. Next up, we've got another giant T-Rex. This one is brown with gray spotting all over the top. And it comes with some pretty cool sound effects, as you can hear. Plus, there's an action button for the roaring. Let's put this down right next to the super colossal T-Rex. Right in the back here, we've got a classic Stegosaurus. This is from the Jurassic Park toy line. So this is a pretty old toy, and it's got that battle damage right there on the side. The tail is pretty rubbery, so you can swing the tail back and forth. All right, let's find a place for this on the shelf. Let's have it go right next to these T-Rexes. And right over here, we've got another T-Rex. This one is a lighter brown color with dark brown on the top and a lighter underbelly. With this T-Rex, you can twist the tail to control the face, and there's a button on the tail to control the roar too. Up next, we've got a giant Mosasaurus. The whole body on this Mosasaurus is pretty rubbery, and as you can see, I can press inward on it, so it's hollow. And the jaw opens and closes too. All right, let's find a place for this. Let's have it go on this lower shelf right here. Right back here, we've got a smaller predator. This is the Rajasaurus, and this is a newer toy as well. And when you press down on the neck, has the roaring action. Let's put this right up here on this higher shelf. I think we've still got another T-Rex in here. Yeah, here's another one. This is kind of almost gray colored with brown on the top and a light underbelly. And this T-Rex has a button near the head that you can press for the roar. All right, there we go, right next to the other T-Rex. Here we've got another Stegosaurus with different coloring, and this figure is a bit newer than the Jurassic Park one that we saw earlier. Plus, this Stegosaurus has some actions. When you press down here, it swings the tail back and forth. That is very cool. Let's put it on the top shelf, right next to the Rajasaurus. Next up is a Carcharodontosaurus. I think I actually have two of them. This is a blue version with orange and brown detailing on the top, and then I've actually got a yellow one with orange and brown detailing on the top too. Let's put both of these on the shelf. Here we've got an Allosaurus, I believe. This dinosaur is gray with yellow detailing all over its body. It has an action button right on the back, to control the jaw. Next up, we've got a good old Ankylosaurus with a brown underbelly and a green and gray top. This Ankylosaurus also has an action button to sweep the tail. Let's put the Ankylosaurus right up there. Right over here, we've got a bright green Velociraptor. I believe this Velociraptor is also from the Hammond collection. As you can see, it is super adjustable all over its body. It is really cool. Let's put it on the same shelf as the Baryonyx over here. Next up, we've got the Yangchuanosaurus. This is a newer dinosaur from the Jurassic World Dominion series, I believe. This dinosaur is mostly green around its body with the brown detailing on the top and the bright orange right on its face. Let's go ahead and find a place for this on the shelf. Right over here, we've got another huge predator. This is the Tarbosaurus. Look at those huge spikes on its back and that bright red under its chin too. This is a really cool looking predator. Let's put him on the higher shelf, right here. Nope, he barely fits in there. Right up top here, we've got a super bright dinosaur. This is the Nasutoceratops. This dinosaur has some green, blue, and orange all over its body. And look at the size of those horns too. That is pretty awesome. Let's go ahead and put this right next to the Jurassic Park Stegosaurus. Here is another awesome predator and one of my favorite. This is a Carnotaurus with the red and dark purple. It looks kind of like purple on the top of its body. This dinosaur also has an action button on its back for the chomping. All right, let's find a place for this on the shelf. Let's put them next to these T-Rexes over here. Right in the back here, we've got a noisy dinosaur. This, I believe, is a Cryolophosaurus, and it has some super awesome detailing on its back and on the top of its head. Check that out. Cool, let's find a place for this. Let's put them right next to the Carcharodontosaurus. Here we've got a super long dinosaur. This is a Sarcophagus. It's got a blue, gray underbelly, and then the purple, orange, and red on the top. This is really cool. Let's find a place for this right next to the Mosasaurus. Here's another predator. I believe that this one is a Ceratosaurus. And it's got that bright red coloring and that white horn right on the top of its nose. And the rest of its body is gray with a little bit of brown. Let's find a place for this on the shelf. Right next to the Tarbosaurus. All right, we've got another Baryonyx in here. This one is not from the Hammond collection, so it's not quite as adjustable as the other Baryonyx that we opened up today. But it's still got an action button right on the top. Let's put this on the shelf right next to the Ceratosaurus. Here is a red, or it's like a clay red Triceratops with brown detailing on the top. This Triceratops has one action button right on the top that controls the head. Let's put this dinosaur right next to the Nasutoceratops. Right down here, we've got a small raptor. This one is tan with brown on the top, and this raptor has a slashing action. You can see it's spring-loaded in its torso so that you can actually slash with the claws. Let's put this right next to Ankylosaurus. Check this out. This is a baby Brachiosaurus, and it's pretty adjustable still. You can move the legs, the neck, and you can twist the tail too. So let's find a place for this on the shelf. Let's put this right next to the Triceratops. Here we've got another raptor. This one is a yellow color with battle damage on the side that you can open and close. That is really cool. Let's put this next to the other raptor. right, another Baryonyx with different coloring again. This has some bright blue right on the top of its head and some darker blue along its body, a little bit of white, and then the rest of its body is a gray color. Plus, this Baryonyx has a slide action button, so you can get multiple sound effects with each slide. That is very cool. Let's put it on the same shelf as this other Baryonyx. Here we've got a different looking Triceratops. This is a dark green with orange spots all over it. That's pretty interesting. This figure is also pretty adjustable. You can move the arms and you can move the head up and down too. Let's find a home for this on the shelf. Put it right here next to this Baryonyx. I believe this dinosaur is a Monolophosaurus. I think I actually have multiple of this one. Yeah, I think this is a Monolophosaurus as well. And look at the difference in coloring between the two. That is really cool, totally different. Let's find a home for these. Let's put them on this lower shelf right here. Still got a few dinosaurs left. This, I think, is another Ceratosaurus, but with totally different coloring. It's a dark green with gray detailing along the top. And this dinosaur also has the slide action button for multiple sound effects. Very cool. Let's put this right next to the T-Rex, right over here. Next up, we've got a small dinosaur. This is a Shringosaurus. It's got a super long neck and two huge horns on its head. That is pretty cool. Let's go ahead and find a place for this. Right here on the front shelf. Next up, we've got a dinosaur that looks kind of like a Stegosaurus, but it isn't. It's a Chialingosaurus. Check out those spikes right there on its shoulders. How cool is that? Let's put this dinosaur right next to this Triceratops up here. Right over here, we've got a dinosaur that looks kind of like a Triceratops, but I think it's actually a Cosmoceratops. Look at how different all those horns are on the front. That is really cool. It's got some green striping right along the top. Let's put this one on the front shelf too. Here's a big dinosaur. This is a Kentrosaurus. It's got those huge spikes right along the side, even more big than the Chialingosaurus that we just saw. Let's put this right next to the Monolophosauruses right here on the bottom. Here we've got another Baryonyx. This one has bright orange on the top of its head, and the rest of its body is a light brown with blue detailing on the top. That is cool. Let's put this one right next to this Ceratosaurus. I believe this dinosaur is a Parasaurolophus. Look at that huge horn right on its head. These are really cool looking dinosaurs, I think. Let's go ahead and put this right next to the Kentrosaurus. Next up, we've got a Herrerasaurus. Look at that super long mouth and all those teeth. That is really cool. Let's put this dinosaur right in front of the Carnotaurus. We've got a few more raptors in here. This raptor is bright red with, I think that's purple on its body. And this other raptor, more of a brown color with orange detailing on the top. That's really cool. Looks like we don't have any more space up there for raptors, so let's go ahead and put them right up here, up in front. Here is a purple Stegosaurus with yellow spots all over its body. That is pretty neat, and the legs and tail are adjustable on this dinosaur. Let's go ahead and put him right in front of this super colossal T-Rex. Just a few left. Here is a bright red Minmi dinosaur. Look at all those spikes and armor plating. That is really cool. Let's put this right next to the Cosmoceratops. And last but not least, we've got a green Sauropelta. It's dark green on the top, light green on the bottom, with those huge spikes right on its side. Let's put this right in front of this T-Rex up here.
Want to see more dino videos? Click the subscribe button now.